On Friday, January 21st, 2022, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission officially gazetted Tuesday, August 9th, 2022, as the date of the third general election under the Constitution of Kenya 2010. In releasing the elections calendar, the IEBC sought to assure Kenyans that the upcoming general election would be free, fair, credible, as required by the Constitution, Elections Act, and other legal frameworks. In the run-up to the 2022 general elections, we, the Angaza Movement, at national and grassroots levels, collective of active citizens and civil society organizations, are deeply concerned about the state of preparedness among critical institutions charged with the management of elections. They are captured by the state and the sectarian interest and the entrenchment of the culture of impunity in the country, especially when it comes to the governance of public affairs. Every election in Kenya has been burgled since 2007, and we are talking about 2007 because that's the period we have been monitoring in the context of the new constitution. So we know the other problems before then. Kenya is still burdened by unresolved putative elections, which has deeply undermined public confidence in the integrity of the electoral process. The underwhelming performance of the IEBC in the ongoing registration of voters, compounded with a perennially problematic voters register, does not inspire confidence that the election will be free, fair, and credible. We are deeply concerned that IEBC has deliberately refused to learn from the dismal performance of the enhanced voter registration last year. There is no evidence that it has engaged the National Registration Bureau to satisfy itself that the delayed release of identification documents is not suppressing voter registration. Voter registration is being carried out in the absence of civic education and awareness, and bottlenecks in accessing identity documents, which could deny citizens their political rights, which have been enshrined in Article 38 of the Constitution in the Bill of Rights.
The IEBC has papered over many of the legal and administrative changes the Supreme Court ordered in 2017 after nullifying the presidential election results on account of glaring illegalities and irregularities. The IEBC is hollowed out and bereft of institutional memory because of unfulfilled vacancies in the Commission and the Secretariat. Many of the individuals who left the Electoral Management Body in disgrace have been rewarded with appointments to sensitive positions that could affect the conduct of elections. The errant refusal by the state to adequately and timelessly fund the Electoral Management Body, inordinate delays in effecting appointments, and last-minute changes to the law undoubtedly destabilize the context in which elections will be held. The government has frustrated the Electoral Management Body, including denying the opportunity for any auxiliary election funding from other development partners. The fragile security around the country, characterized by incidents of violence in Baringo, Laikipia, Lamu counties, and headlined irregularly by extrajudicial executions, forced disappearances, and a general breakdown in police discipline signal that the window of delivering a credible, free, and fair election is shutting. Past elections have been determined by the use of violence against women and other vulnerable groups, with no accountability for sexual and gender-based crimes. SGBV has become a defining feature of our political violence, employed to curtail women's participation in country's governance. There can be no free or fair elections in a violent environment, ring-fenced by impunity.
The IEBC, political parties, the legislature, and the executive continue to defy the Constitution and the courts to promote the inclusion of women, youth, and persons living with disability. An election held in such a context cannot be said to be free, fair, or credible. The IEBC and other state agencies have deliberately refused to uphold and enforce obligatory integrity standards. It has failed or refused to underwrite democracy in political parties which are publicly funded by requiring them to meet the constitutional requirements of transparency and accountability in the political process. IEBC and other institutions have bowed to political interests that suppress the good of the people, their safety, security, and democracy. The Angaza movement believes that Kenya has the capacity to conduct free and fair elections. Chapter 6 of the Constitution defines the standards for leadership and integrity. We are calling on every Kenyan citizen to do that which the IEBC and other institutions have failed to do, and that is putting integrity ahead of these elections.
Kuna masuala yamejitokeza kwamba tunaona wazi kwamba IEBC katika mfumo wanaochukua kuna changamoto zinajitokeza. Na hizi changamoto zinajitokeza kwa sababu serikali yetu kwa njia moja ama nyingine imeweza kuchukua uwezo wa kuingililia kazi katika tume ambazo ziko huru kikatiba kutekeleza wajibu wake. Tumeona kwamba jinsi IEBC inavyochukua zoezi la kuandikisha wapigaji kura liko na utata na hofu, kwa sababu serikali imeweza kuwanyima hela ambazo zingewasaidia kufanya kile kitu tunaita civic education, ili watu wajitokeze kwa wingi na kuweza kujiandikisha kupiga kura. Tumeona hapo awali kila tukifika wakati wa uchaguzi serikali yetu inakiuka katiba ama sheria zilizowekwa. Pia vile tumeona kile kitu tunajitokeza ni kwamba masuala ya usalama yanajitokeza punde tu tunapoelekea wakati wa uchaguzi. Tumeona Lamu, tumeona Baringo na tumeona sehemu zingine za nchi. Kwa hivyo sisi kama vuguvugu, swala letu kubwa ni kwamba lazima Wakenya wajitokeze na kuhakikisha kwamba uchaguzi unakuwa uhuru na haki. Na kufuata hivi ni kuhakikisha wanahakikisha kila mtu anayehusika ama kila tume inaweza kujibu maswali kuambatana na sheria na mujibu wa katiba yetu kulingana na vile ambavyo tulipendekeza sisi kama Wakenya. Kwa hivyo hilo ndio ombi letu ambalo tuko hapa leo, na kuhimiza kwamba Wakenya wengi tutaweza kuwatembelea na kuwaomba waweze kusimama na kuona kwamba uchaguzi unakuwa uhuru na haki. Kwa sababu serikali yetu vile tunavyoiona na vile wanavyotumia vyombo vya usalama inatupatia hofu, na tuna wasiwasi kama watakuwa na uwezo wakahakikisha kwamba huu uchaguzi utakuwa uhuru na haki. Kwa hivyo hilo ndio ombi letu, na tungeomba Wakenya wengi wazidi kusimama na sisi.
What we're talking about here is free and fair elections. So procedurally we're saying that what we are seeing is a challenge in terms of the constitutional authority of this country. The constitution is being violated as far as we know, and we're saying this pretty urgently, and this is January, and there's corrective measures that can be taken. Under the Constitution, under Article 81 of the Constitution, the ingredients of a free, fair, credible election are laid down. None of them, none, has been adhered to. And our own analysis is therefore we are not headed for a free, fair, credible election. And the electoral management body, the IEBC, must take responsibility. Must take responsibility because that's a constitutional directive. And there will be consequences. This time, I think the statement was very, very clear. There have been violations before. The last election, one election was nullified. This time, there will be more severe penalties because we are raising the flag early enough for corrective measures to be taken. The elections must be free, fair, credible, according to the Constitution. And Article 81, there's questions around freedom, right? How free are people of Lamu? It should make sure that the police, right? The police have restored law and order as a precondition. In law we say conditio sine qua non, but as a precondition to free and fair elections. Fairness. IEBC was told in 2017, what did we ask for? Fungua server. Have they opened them? So what do you expect it to be different this time? The point is, the big duty bearer is IEBC. The state is supposed to facilitate funding, right? Where's the money when IEBC asks for it? In all fairness, the IEBC does need funding, right? That's what we're saying. Let's break it down. There's a primary duty bearer, and then there are all of us. But at the end of it, under Article 1, who is the sovereign? The people of Kenya. If we're being led to another, I repeat, another unfree and unfair and incredible election, we must say no.